I recently had the pleasure of watching Night at the Museum with my family. As of the time that I wrote the script. In reality, it's been like a month now. I'm really good at this consistent upload thing, huh? Anyway, I really liked it. It's just a really fun and cute movie. If you have some free time or have a family movie night coming up, there are only a few movies I'd currently recommend more than Night at the Museum. But what exactly made me want to see Night at the Museum? Obviously, I had heard of this movie before from other people, and the premise of the exhibits of a museum coming to life at night is very interesting. But the thing that actually got me interested and brought Night at the Museum to my mind one random night was hearing that there was a horror game made with a similar concept. And that game was Night of the Extinct. Developed and published by Silver City Sharks, Night of the Extinct is a mascot horror game that takes place in a museum that has some urban legends going around about how the exhibits of the museum come to life at night and roam around. Before we dive in deeper, I have to speak on the title screen. I was surprised by what I saw when I first opened the game. This black screen with just the game's name in bold red letters with some artifacting around them, while a droning music track plays in the background. The artifacting especially is a nice touch. With the game being seen from the view of a camcorder, it really brings in a fresh look that I haven't seen from many other games. But then, we transition to this. Suddenly the vibe flips entirely as the player is brought to an artistic rendition of one of the museum's hallways, with a more dramatic song accompanying this sudden tone shift as something stalks them from around the corner at the end of the hall. This is the kind of stuff child me had nightmares about, and for some reason the song playing here made me think of PK from the Shadows for the PS2. I don't know why that's important, but I wanted to mention it because I thought it was funny. The game opens with a 2016 YouTube era dubstep intro with the text going all crazy on screen. You know the kind I'm talking about. And through the view of a camcorder, we're introduced to our protagonist, Elliot, who, judging by those eye bags, really needs to get some sleep. Not that I can really talk. I love how well this cutscene captures the feel of a YouTube video, even managing to sneak in a Vine boom and that one Vine sound clip that everyone has heard a million times. You know the one. And if you don't, you're either way too young to be on YouTube, or you're lying to my face. During this intro, Elliot explains that the statues in the museum are rumored to come to life during the nighttime, and that he's going to be investigating this by staying at the museum overnight, really bringing the era of trespassing and breaking the law for views to life again. And with that, we transition into gameplay. Something I immediately noticed and couldn't help but appreciate was how the field of view isn't perfect. This kind of thing is clearly something Elliot does often, and his camcorder has clearly gotten smacked around a bit during these little projects, as we can see by the small cracks on the screen. These don't matter enough to get in the way of gameplay, and most of the time you'll forget that they're there, but it's still a charming little detail that I like. Approaching the door, we're introduced to the first obstacle of the game in the form of the museum night guard. Okay, promising start. I'm always down for some stealthing around enemies. Until you realize the situation you are put into with this night guard. It's just you, the guard, and a square room with 4 locked doors and almost nothing to sneak around with. Leaving the best course of action to be to just ignore the existence of the guard, run and jump over to the booth on the other end of the room, grab a key, and book it to the door that it opens. Especially since the guard loses interest in you as soon as you get out of the room. I get that it's the opening minutes of the game, but for being one of 2 enemy encounters in the game, I'd hope for a bit more than this. In the next room, the player can choose to pick up one of those speaker things that tell little fun facts about the exhibits as you walk around during a tour. This thing isn't really important, it'll just spew out some tour guide speech whenever you enter a room, but it's a charming way to create some ambience while not being too bothersome or getting in the way of gameplay. You can beat the game without it, no problem. It's actually an achievement to do so. Next we come to a pretty nice and charming little room. The purpose of the room is to just do a quick puzzle with these pressure plates, but I appreciate them putting this little caveman diorama thing here that you can actually interact with. The look of this room, combined with the music track that accompanies it, is actually a really nice and cozy little break period in the game before we get into the proper action, as we see one of the statues of the exhibit walk past at the end of this hallway. Even though I enjoy horror stuff a lot, I'm someone who gets very easily spooked by good atmosphere. Or just anything in general. So this got me pretty tense when I first saw it. I was expecting the game to pick up now, maybe needing to sneak around the hallways of the museum while keeping an ear out for the approaching footsteps of this saber-toothed tiger to know when it'll be coming around the corner. But instead, I got this guy.
Visitors? At night? I can't remember the last time that happened.
This is Arnold. He'll be here for as long as it takes you to get through this hallway. I don't hate him, but after having a moment that made a little scaredy cat like me start feeling tense, only to get blindsided by a comedic character, gave me some serious whiplash. I do like this little campfire thing here though. Great way to build atmosphere and make this hallway feel like more than just an area in a video game. We also get a small warning sign of what's to come, as we're doing this puzzle in this dark room that has a bunch of boxes. What is this? Is this a storage closet or something? Anyway, Arnold mentions that Kiona isn't fond of people and says,
You do know Kiona isn't a big fan of people, right? Or are you going to find out the hard way? If so, it was nice knowing ya. Bye-bye.
Well, that's ominous. And as soon as we finish the puzzle, we immediately find out what he means when this happens. This cutscene's great, by the way. I love how she fakes you out by pretending to be a statue only to then vanish as you look away. I like that. Really cute. It's just a shame that the buttons on the door start beeping immediately and the music for the actual encounter here also starts playing as you enter. So it kinda gives away that something is gonna go down here. But whatever, it works. And this is where the second and final enemy encounter of the game begins. Remember when I bashed the encounter with the night guard? Forget all of that. Yes, we're in a square room again, but this time there's stuff to hide behind. Luckily, this cat doesn't have a sense of smell. Or the ability to see through glass. Hey, honestly, I'll take it. Your objective here is to press these 4 buttons around the room, followed by placing vases on pressure plates that'll open the door for you to get out of here. This was surprisingly tense, because from what I can tell, you can't actually outrun Kiona in this room. If you're far away from her, you can quickly duck behind cover to lose aggro. But I don't think actually just running in front of her is gonna work out, unlike with the guard from earlier. The music also does a lot to create that tense atmosphere. Just keep your bearings, keep track of where the kitty is, and you should get through without much issue. Unless you're me, who's bad at video games. After escaping Kiona, the player enters the museum's storage room. There's a couple things to do here, but the most important one is probably giving the 3 bobbleheads to Petra the Terrible. These are collectibles found throughout the game, the third of which you can get by solving a quick puzzle in the storage room. Giving them to Petra gets you a mysterious CD. Going through a back door in the storage room brings you back to the booth where you grabbed the key earlier. Huh. I guess after he saw you leave the main hall, the security guard just took a nap? Okay. Playing the CD on a computer in the booth gets you this. So turns out the museum people know about Kiona running around. At least I'm assuming that's Kiona. I do wish it was a bit more than just a moving shadow and then a zoom in, but I'm also not gonna pretend I could do better. You've seen my videos. You know what I'm about. This scene is still really cool and gives me some brain food to think about a possible part 2 to this game. And well, I was in the FNAF fandom. I'm always down for lore like this. Of course, there's one more thing to do back here. This big door. Going through it, we're suddenly jumped by Kiona and enter the game's final moments with the at this point iconic mascot horror chase. Maneuvering between the shelves while you're given a clear view of how close Kiona is getting is very tense, even if this trope is a bit played out at this point. I personally would have much preferred if your encounter with Kiona in the previous room would have been the only one, but I guess you can't blame a game for following the rules of the genre. And either way, the rearview mirror of how close Kiona is a really cool inclusion and brings some of the game's own flavor into the chase. Also, I like how it looks kinda goofy with how close Kiona gets to the camera. It's kinda cute. Escaping Kiona leads us to another storage room. Here we meet Shen the Ringtail. Shen tells Elliot that they heard about him doing this little challenge and offers to act as a guide for Elliot's run around the museum. Walking through the next door, someone or something chucks an alligator toy to Elliot's feet. Inspecting the toy, Elliot finds the words, "Find me in the abyss," written on the bottom. Fade to red, and roll credits. And that is Night of the Extinct. I have to admit, I'm kinda mixed on this game. I love the concept behind the game. Night at the Museum was basically begging to be made into a more horror-focused story, and we finally have that here. The atmosphere of the museum is great, and the music is genuinely really nice. The track currently playing in the background? Yeah, I've listened to this in my free time when I'm trying to fall asleep. The biggest problem is the gameplay. Most of the runtime is just walking in a straight line with 2 puzzles and 2 enemy encounters sprinkled in. While yes, I really like the encounter with Kiona at the end of the game, the encounter with the Night Guard is just, well, it is what it is. The game plays its cards really safe, but that's not a bad thing. This idea possibly has the most potential of any newer mascot horror game to become something amazing. So as long as playing the first part safe gives the possibility of a follow-up, I'm fully down for it. And with the ending of the game leaving the door open for a sequel, I really hope it comes to pass. The concept, the atmosphere, the music, and the characters are all intriguing and leave so much room for the developers to do all kinds of crazy stuff with. Despite my criticisms, I really enjoyed Night of the Extinct and would recommend it to anyone in a heartbeat. Ironically, the things I criticized actually lead to this game being really beginner friendly for someone wanting to get into the genre. It's also free, so like, you're not losing anything by giving it a try. But of course, that's just my opinion. If you've played this game yourself, please tell me what you thought of it. I'd love to hear it. But for now, I must be on my way. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the performance. I've been Minty Mothra, and don't forget to grab a slice of pumpkin pie on your way out. Exit stage left.